All right. Okay. Uh, Sorry. Let me just confirm our LinkedIn. Um, okay. We're live. We're live on LinkedIn. And the screen is looking very good. Yeah. All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everybody who's tuning to this discussion today. Welcome to another episode of An Hour with Manager Live podcast. I'm Ubong Matthew, your host for this discussion, and I'm always happy to be here. And like I said, we're here for a very long time. I don't know when this is going to end, but in as much as learning and information is important, we'll continue to promote that in our own space. So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into this discussion today. And today I have a very wonderful and distinguished guest who is going to share her amazing journey and amazing experience with us, in the person of Emily Aneno. How are you doing, Emily?
I'm great, Matthew. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much for joining us today. And I
Thank
must
you
say
for
that
inviting me.
yeah, I must say briefly that Emily has very wonderful experience, and she's done very amazing thing. Most especially, one of our discussions we've had behind stage, talking about her time at South Sudan, and still her time not at and still currently at that space. Right, we'll get to hear information and see how she's been able to build a strong team to grow the NGO, to grow Elite International, and also the HR space there to do amazing things. So thank you very much once again, Emily, for being on our show.
You're welcome.
Okay, so to everybody who's joining us today, I must say thank you for sparing out the time. It's not easy. Every week we get to come on board this discussion. We get to talk about different stuff. I'm sure we might be having different persons today, and next week we might be having different faces. But to those who stay consistent with us, I really appreciate it. And trust me, if you follow closely with our discussion, you always get the best information out of it, because these are all personal discussion, personal strategies, personal practices that have worked for each of our guests over time to build success in their team, in their organizations. So welcome everybody to this discussion today. So for the past 1 month or 1 month plus, we've been having some talks on employee engagement, looking at how we can build sustainability in organizations, talking about how to build lasting brands, right? We've been talking about different discussions in the HR space. We've also talked about go-to-market strategy and how to support new people manager. And we know that even when you onboard, after onboarding all of these guys, after putting them right and letting them know that, okay, this is what you need to do for us to start delivering on our job as a new manager, right, as a professional in whatever you're doing. This is what you should be doing next. This is how to build that sustainability with them. This is how you should update that skills and make that skills very worth looking at, or worth looking at in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, and say, okay, I'm here in this organization, and because I've been able to grow and learn my career, I don't think I would like to leave because of what I've benefited from this, because of what I've benefited from the organization. So everybody who's tuning in today, trust me, you're not going to be left out. And if you're here alone, I'm not going to be very comfortable if you're here alone, because I'm not here. I have a guest with me. So it means if you're coming here, you should come with someone. Share this link across. If you have your friends on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, please share this link across. Or you go to our YouTube. If they're not on social media, please recommend them to our YouTube channel, and I, with the manager, copy the link, share it to them, post it on your stories. Let's all learn and grow together. This is for us. This is not just for me. This is for all of us. So thank you very much, everybody, and welcome to this discussion again today. So before we get in depth into the whole topic of capacity building and team development, right, I would like us all to also know our guest, and let's know her background and what she's been doing for the past 21 years and still counting. Amazing years. Wow. Emily Aneno, how are you? How have you been doing for the past 21 years with your career path?
I must say that my career path has really been a la carte, you know. uh, someone who did physics, chemistry, biology at high school with mathematics and foods and nutrition, with a dream of becoming a medical doctor someday. But then things turn here and there, and that dream didn't come to pass. And the reason as why I really wanted to be a medical doctor is because I wanted to work with people, because I knew that that's the profession that works with people. You talk with people, you inspire them, you encourage them, you really tell them when if things are not the best, you're able to tell them it's well. Because I would watch in hospitals, the doctor, even if the situation is so bad, the doctor said, don't worry, you'll be fine. But
Yeah.
then the good news is that I ended up not doing medicine, and ended up doing bachelor's in library information science. So my first degree is in information science. And I started off in emergency settings way back in 2003 in northern Uganda during the time of the war. But then I realized that my colleagues would go to the field and I would be left alone in office because I was in charge of the networks and I was in charge of the databases. And I got to realize that I was getting bored interacting with the machine all the time. And I said, Emily, is this your dream? Your dream was to work with people. Anyway, how God would have it is that 3 months down the road when I got my first job, or that was with World Vision. But I also remember that when I started my career, I started as an intern. I remember one afternoon I left university and I said, I'm going to go places, knock at doors, and get a space for internship. And I remember when I reached World Vision, they told me they didn't have a policy for interns. And I told them, take me on, and from me, you'll develop one. And that's how I was taken on, and that's how I got my first job in 2003. And later on got transferred in the resource center where I was managing the resource center. But the beauty was the resource center was in the HR department. Now that's where I found my passion. I said, now I think this is where I belong, working with people. But remember that here I was still somehow managing the resource center. But then what I did was I befriended all my colleagues in the department. I befriended the recruitment officer, the training officer, the benefits officer, and I told them, please, each time you're going on leave, give me a chance. Let me
That was the
stand in
first
for
step.
you. Exactly. That was my first step. So whoever was going on leave would put me in. I would step in for them. And that's how I learned recruitment processes. That's how I learned training and development. And that's how I learned so much in terms of payroll and benefits. But anyway, long story short, I later on, an opening came up as HR officer. I participated in the interview. But
In
one
the
of
same
the things that
organization.
pardon me?
In the same organization.
Exactly, in the same organization. But remember that even when I was starting my career path, I did not despise any opportunity that came by. There's nothing that I didn't do. I was the intern, yes, but I worked in all the units. As long as there was an opportunity, I was there. I learned sponsorship because World Vision is into education, child education, so the children have sponsors. So I would go there and learn something. I was a receptionist. At one point, the tea lady got an accident. People didn't have tea. I rolled in and I went to the administration manager and I said, can I make the tea? She's like, no, you can't. You have a degree. I said, who is the degree written in my face? No. There's work to be done. There are people to be served.
Yeah.
And that's how I went, made tea. And let me tell you something, Matthew. I realized that the tea ladies have a unique skill, really, really unique skill that I realize that their job is not as simple as we think.
How do you
Because
mean?
first, what I mean
How do
is,
yeah.
what I mean is that you find people are ordering for tea or coffee. So there's this one who wants mild coffee, medium coffee, strong coffee. Then there are those who don't want milk in it. Then they want a little bit of milk. The other one wants strong milk, Then the other one says, I don't want sugar in it. The other, I need little sugar. So you imagine coordinating all these maybe 50, 70 people. There were over almost 100 people at the national office. And it is one person to think about them. And then there were these interesting employees who had their specific cups that you must serve them in their cups. So it made me realize and appreciate everyone's job, to know that they're really special. And so that's how now another door opened up. I became an HR officer. And to me, my first journey was flexibility, because that time I was very single. I used to tell myself I am self-contained. Where you send me, I'll go. So I was very available to go wherever that the organization sent me. I remember when from Northern Uganda, I was sent as the advanced team in a place called Karamoja. That time it was invaded by cattle rustlers. Going there, we went with bulletproof jackets.
Wow.
Which had never happened before. And the thing was 30 kgs. Now, for me, when they dressed me up, I could not get back to the car. The guys I went with had to lift me.
How did that make you feel?
No, but at the end of the day, I was like, I'm at a front line. Anything can happen. But there are people dying they don't have food and they need to be served. And there are people who are longing to get employed. So I need to proceed and do my job. And I remember when we reached Karamoja, we were like, how do we penetrate this community so that the organization is accepted? So we went out for lunch. It was really quite a difficult place. Even getting something to eat was a struggle. That time, that was 2008. We wanted a fruit. We said, okay, maybe we buy a pineapple.
Okay.
We went to the market. We found that time one pineapple was 5,000 Uganda shillings. And that was crazy. Because in that time, that was the price up there was crazy. Wow. Because in the normal sense, the price was like 500 shillings. But the other side was 10 times.
Because you needed to survive.
You have to survive. And we slept in dormitories. That's, the only space that was there was the Church of Uganda had a space, a hall, where now we had to get accommodated. I remember I went with a team of guys and we're only 2 ladies. And I remember we went to a restaurant, and this is a cattle keeping community that keep migrating because of the weather, to keep their cows and all that. I remember I went to a restaurant and a lady walked in and I'm like, hi, what does it take for one to penetrate the community and have the organization accepted? And she told me, you need to dress like us.
You asked the question?
Pardon me?
You asked the question?
Exactly.
Wow.
I said, what does it take for one to be accepted? Then she told me, dress like us. So I asked her, what does it take to dress like you? She's like, let's go. Get me money. I go to the market and I make for you our dress code. I immediately gave her money. And one of the things I got to learn from that community was they had a unique skill. These guys did not use sewing machines to make their dresses. Wow. They handmade their clothing.
With needles or knitting? Is it like
with
knitting?
Needles and
wow.
threads. You can't believe
What year was this,
within
please? What year was this?
2008.
Is it still happening right
2008.
now?
But let me tell you, up to today, I still have that attire. When I got that skirt, because for them, I learned that the Karamojong community, the beauty of a woman lies on how much beads she wore. So the more beads you wore on your body, the more beautiful you were.
And the more attractive.
So, exactly. So what I did, we went to the market, bought enough beads for me, got the tire shoes, because majority of the girls were wearing the tire shoes. I also bought them. And trust you me, in the evening, the boys, the gentlemen also got the bed sheets and tied against their shoulders. By evening, they were asking them, how many cows do you want for your sister? We want to marry her.
Wow. That's
And let
a
me
good
tell you,
entry point. That's a good entry
and
point.
that's how we entered Karamoja. And for me, that was a memory. I still
That's a
have
good
my
entry point.
photos. I still have that. And so, yeah, long story short, I served in World Vision for 10 years. And I left, went to Baylor College of Medicine for about 3 months. And later on, I went to Amref Health Africa. But one of the things I learned along the way is that no experience is wasted along your life's path. So
That's important.
whatever you go through, don't think it's a waste. At some point, you get to realize that God needed you in that place at a moment like that. I remember when I was posted in a place called Fort Portal. Fort Portal is actually at Mount Renzori. The place in Uganda is called Mountain of the Moon. It's a very beautiful town, but very cold.
Wow.
And I used to work with the health workers. There were over 500 health workers. And I would go to the health centers. Others were on Mountain Renzori itself. I remember one particular day we went to a place called Kasese and wanted to visit the medical personnel there. We drove and reached a point where a car cannot move. Now, no one warned me that I needed to do flat shoes. I went with my high heels. Matthew, I learned my lesson never to go to the field again in high heels.
I feel like you should be wearing boots to the field.
Oh my God. Do you know, our guide just told us, and those guys, you stop at a certain spot, and we had gotten supplies, medicines, and wherever. These guys carried the things on their backs. And I asked them, how far are we going? And they're like, not far, madam, just there.
And 30 minutes you're still on the road.
My friend, we walked up the mountain 10 kilometers.
Wow.
10 kilometers.
That's a long walk.
I ended up carrying the shoes in my hands. It was my moment. But you reach there and there are staff that you need to attend to, and they're excited and glad that you visited. But of course, my 3 months experience in Baylor gave me an opportunity to learn HR management in the health sector. So the experience I got in terms of what are the pros and cons of dealing with medical personnel equipped me for the job with Amref Health Africa. And so Amref Health, I spent there about 8 years. And I must say that I really grew. I got opportunities. And as I said from the very beginning, for me, opportunity strikes once. When an opportunity comes by, I will never let it pass. I would always avail myself because I wanted to learn. I wanted to get something new. I wanted to adventure. And that's how I ended up in South Sudan.
But I wanted to just drag your attention a little bit. You
Sure.
mentioned that you had plans of going into the medical space, and look at you working with the health sector as a HR personnel, and
Exactly.
even going on field. But during that time when you were on field, and I believe you had a boss who was with you guys, right? You had a senior HR personnel who went with all of you. So how did or what unique thing did you really see about him or her that made you really interested in the job, more interested in the job, about bringing everybody together as a team, and then being able to, build that team bond to move into these spaces, and even give you that morale to approach that lady to request for an entry process into that community?
One of the things that I still admire up to today, my mentor, who is still my mentor up to today, he was the HR director of World Vision then.
Okay.
And he was announced when I told him, if you don't have a policy, actually, I did not tell him. I told the lady who was managing Resource Center.
Okay.
And he gave a report to that boss and told him, there's a girl here who wants internship, but I told her there's no policy, but she had the courage to tell me that, take me on, and from me you will develop a policy. And the HR director said, why then didn't you take her up? Call her. Let her come and take on the role. And so to me, that was my turning point. This director believed in building capacity. He never believed in looking down. As long as you're willing and you have the right attitude, he would give you a chance. I remember one time when he was going on leave, he gave me the opportunity to be the HR director for, was it 2 days? And I didn't know what to do. But for me, I realized that we were all unique in the team. It was such a big division because World Vision really a big organization, and that time they had quite a big number, and we were a big team of the HR. It was HR and admin. So he had unique skills that believed in everybody's uniqueness and let people be and let people excel. And I said, I think this is the best way for you to have your teams excel. Let them be themselves. Don't let them be somebody else. Let them do the work the way they want it. And at the end of the day, you'll get the best results. Yeah.
That's a good one. And that's a good one. I really like your approach through carrying on, your whole career approach, and the what do you call it? The more pressure you put into yourself to learn, the more pressure you put into yourself to ask questions, the more pressure you put into connect with your bosses without even looking at, oh, do I have to do this thing? Will it cost me more time, or will I be wasting my time here? Because I believe that there's some people who probably would see that as you being used, right? Oh, like would say in Nigeria, they're no sending you, they do. That is, nobody asks you to do it. You're just sending yourself. You're the one who is instructing yourself on what to do, or you're the one who is telling yourself, well, let me go. But you know the reason why you're doing that, and you know what you want to learn, right? And
Yeah.
that is something that in some organizations today we are lacking. That we're lacking that free will to learn, that free will without benefits, right? Without benefits. Oh, just learn because you want to learn. Just do it because you want to learn, not because of what to be attached to it. The benefit to come, it might not come immediately because you personally can what do you call it? You can fully tell yourself if you're up to that skill benefit or not at the time being. Nobody will tell you. If you think you're worth $500, personally, you will know if you're worth $500. At some point, you will know if you're worth it, if you're deserving of it or not. And if you know you're worth
Yeah.
1,000, 10,000, 1,000,000, you will still know by your own skill set, by the energy you put in whenever you leave from a particular space to the other space. So I really appreciate that approach. But
But
now let's
if I can say something,
please go ahead.
because in World Vision they saw how much I was willing to learn, and
Okay.
I was not embarrassed to take up opportunities.
Okay.
Do you know that later on I was selected among those to be sponsored for masters?
Wow.
So World Vision paid upfront my master's
Wow.
degree, the one I did in
That should be an
organization
applause. That should be
psychology,
an applause.
because they saw this girl wasn't
Yeah.
giving up. She was
Okay.
available. But of
Okay.
course, when such opportunities finally come, there are naysayers who will say they favor her because she's closer to the boss. No, I availed myself and I said, this is my dream. Can I be supported? Yes or no? One thing I've learned in life, in terms of it, capacity building, ask. You lose nothing asking. If you ask, if it is a yes, bless the Lord. If it is a no, bless the Lord. There's always be another time. But most times we don't ask. So we can never know. Even if you want the manager to train you, to take you places, you need to know what you want and ask for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And to everyone who's listening to this, a little bit, let me just divert from this a little bit. To everyone who's listening to this, please, if you have any question on capacity building and team development, please send them into my DM. I'm open and ready to respond to them. I'm seeing your shout outs, Dr. Collins. Thank you very much for showing up. I'm seeing a lot of hands clap. I don't really know who's that, but particularly because I'm on the stream. But thank you very much, everybody who's tuning in and everybody who's sending out their love and support for this very discussion today. Like I said, if you're here alone, please send the link with your friends, your team members, your employees, your organization. Send it to your boss. Let them come on board and let's have some discussion here. If you have any question, please send it to the comments box or you send it to my DM. I'll be very willing to read it out here today with our guests. So thank you very much once again to everyone. So back to our discussion on capacity building. Oh, I have amazing people here today. Wow. Welcome, Olufemi. Thank you very much, Olufemi. Okay. Welcome, Christopher. Welcome, May, Raju. Welcome, Nantel. Please apologies if I pronounce your name wrong. Justina, welcome, very senior HR personnel. Thank you very much. Wana, good to have you too. Okay, so for our audience who are new and fresh to talking about how to support new people manager, we've onboarded everybody, we brought everybody and they started their work process, right? Like you've used yourself as a case study. Now let's talk about you. How let's fast forward this to the future, to today, to what you still intend to do tomorrow, right? How did you use capacity building development skill that you got from your previous job, from your previous organizations, to leverage that for your own personal growth, to see that, okay, this is what I don't think I'd like to do if I start a business today. This is what I think I'd like to do. And this is how I'm going to be able to bring people close to me and bring my team close to me to do the real job they need to do and do it diligently. And you also reward them in the best possible ways. How were you able to put that into your own personal stuff?
First and foremost, we need to know that capacity building is more of an investment. You're upgrading your team's toolkit. You need to sharpen their skills and create the can-do spirit. And when we talk about team development, we are basically saying we need to get to develop our teams so that our businesses can thrive and not just survive. So how I've been going about is that making sure that the mission of whatever business you're in is very clear. We have our organizations, but if you asked the office assistant, do they understand the values by which the organization stands? It is very, very important that you empower them to understand the mission of the organization, to understand the values of the organization, but then they also need to understand the 3 R's of a team. That is the rules, the roles, and the responsibilities. And better still, as I've already indicated, each person is unique. They are introverts, they are extroverts, there are all types of personalities, but let's remember that we do not need to differentiate amongst everybody, but we need to instead celebrate that diversity. Because this quiet person will actually look into details of so much that is happening, while the loud person will bring life, and so you need to embrace all those ones. And that way you're going to accept people for who they are. And I can relate this to my experience in South Sudan. When I was taken to South Sudan, it was being considered a difficult office, but I also understood why when I got there. Because people had built a wall against themselves to protect themselves, simply
How do
because
you
of
mean?
the perception that people have had about them. So when you go to a place, you find that people feed you with all kinds of information about that place. They can give you, like I travel and they give me a security briefing. There is A, B, C, D that you need to watch out for.
Okay.
And that was the same thing. But when I reached South Sudan, I told myself, I am going to take my own perception of each of the individuals and support them to grow in each of their roles. And I do remember before I became a manager, the reason was why I was all over in all units was because I wanted to be a hands-on manager, whereby tomorrow when my team member is stuck, I am not condemning them. I sit with them and we do the work together. And that has been my approach. I empower them, I coach them, I mentor them. And that is what helped me work in South Sudan. But it was a tough place in terms of a number of things, yes.
Before we go in depth into that, I just got a question from an audience. Say, Dr. Collins, thank you for sending that question. So he's saying, what challenges have you faced in capacity planning, and how did you overcome them?
First and foremost, managers need to let employees decide which direction they want to grow. The challenge we have as managers is that we want to decide for the employee the areas of growth. Yes, the direction of the organization may be a certain way, but seek the opinion of the staff and don't send everyone for one particular course. Do what we call the training needs analysis to know where their passion is. Because at the end of the day, you might have the money. People will go for these trainings, sleep in nice hotel, eat the nice food. And if you ask them at the end of the training, what did you learn? They'll tell you, the room was cozy. This place was very nice, simply because you did not ask them their needs. So the best thing to do for you to be successful in capacity building, ask people what areas they want to grow in. But if that is the direction of the organization, then sensitize the staff the importance of that training so that they can appreciate it and go with the mindset of receiving that training. Yeah.
So how do you conduct training needs analysis? How do you conduct it?
There are different approaches. Some people use the performance appraisals, where they say, okay, put in at the end of the year, you put in your training needs or personal development needs. But there are also tools which you can develop depending on what your need is by sending out maybe a survey, asking them what areas do they feel, what areas do they feel they need to improve on, and what kind of trainings do they want to undertake. And do they have particular facilitators that they might be in, what institutions? So you can compile that, and then you get to analyze, okay, which ones are the most common that is appearing? Because remember, there's also budget constraints. You may not meet every need. So you look out which is the common themes that are coming up and how affordable is it. The encouragement I can give the managers is that get inclined into team training. It is more cost effective. Instead of sending the staff for the training, it might be cheaper for you to get the facilitator, and he comes and trains 10 staff than transporting and flying out or accommodating them in a certain space for those years, for those times. Yeah.
Thank you. And we have another question in my comments here, taking us back a little bit. I'm asking, why is the 3 R's you mentioned, why is it important in capacity development?
The rules, the roles,
yes.
The responsibility.
The roles and responsibilities, yes.
That is more into the team development. If there are no rules in a setup, there's chaos. So people need to understand the guiding principles. That's why we have laws. That's why we have policies to basically put us in check. Roles is that we all need to know what our roles are and what did we come to do in the organization. And the other one is your responsibility. So if we all know the rules, we know our roles. I'm an HR, the other one is finance, the other one is programs, the other one is wherever. At the end of the day, we'll all perform our responsibilities, and the end result is that the organization will thrive and not survive. Yeah.
Thank you. So I want to ask, In your journey through going visiting South Sudan, right? Was there an established team first? Was there an established team, or you did the whole team set up?
There was already a team.
Okay.
There was already a team, but it was quite a dynamic team, I must say. There were a number of different nationalities. And so the office they were the nationals, the South Sudan nationals, and there were other staff from other countries. So building a culture, mixing up those people, bringing them under one umbrella was a little difficult because the nationals felt that their jobs were being taken, and the internationals felt they were more superior than the rest. So we had to launch a new culture to say, you know what, we are one. It doesn't matter which walks of life we are from, we are all one. But I must say that, of course, when we began launching the new culture, the reception was not the best. People were so skeptical, but little by little, they embraced the challenge. Of course, change is not easy.
Of course.
And also, time came where the government policies were changing.
Okay.
There were positions that the government would no longer give work permits, because the reality was they had nationals and they have nationals who have gone through the same universities that we have gone through. So what would be the justification of giving the national a position that a national could do to an international? But of course, also that was a tough journey for me, because there was one institute where we needed to transition and it was really full of internationals.
Okay.
And now getting those international back to their respective countries, Jesus needed to come down for me.
Well, I'm trying to imagine how you did the whole setup. How did you go about implementing that new culture for everybody to come on board gradually? How did you implement that? Did you go one after the other to each team member to, oh, okay, this is what I want us to do, or did you bring everybody together after carefully drafting out the strategy to bring everybody to bring the team together to achieve the common goal?
The culture change was actually a global initiative. And I had the awesome privilege to be the culture change project manager then. And so designed quite a number of the training decks and all that. But my penetration of South Sudan was, I also used my skills in team building, because the other side hustle I do is HR consultancy, and I do team building specifically. So I basically took a new approach, and we launched the culture in style with fun, and we dressed up in our culture wears. And I remember the morning before the launch, we went and did aerobics, and we said we are going to sweat out the old culture so that we embrace the new culture.
The new one.
And it was really fun, really, really fun. And so I encouraged them, go dress up in your culture wears, and we launched a new culture. But one of the things that I look back is that one guy said, if you want to get the best out of people, go there where they are, live with them, appreciate what they have, start with what they have, period. If you be with them, trust you me, there's no way you will not penetrate in their lives. So we launched out the culture change. There was what we call the enablers and disablers. The enablers were the things that we should continue doing for us to progress. And then the disablers were the things we should stop doing. So the staff had the opportunity to air out the things that would affect them and would respond to them. And also the other approach I did was to let my door be open. Anybody at any level would walk in. And a number of times, as a matter of fact, I would go and sit with them wherever they are. So you'll find me with the office assistant. We are in the kitchen, jazzing, having nice talks, and we are laughing. And it created a sense of belonging. So for you to get the best out of your team, at the other time I was at a talk show and I was telling them it is high time. We think sometimes we have open door policies. We don't need open door policies. Remove those doors. Create space and let people come. And as a matter of fact, don't let people come to you, go to them. Because when you go to them, you're in their space and they'll be able to open up to you. But when they come to you, they are in your space. So your space is restrictive because they don't know what to expect because you're a boss in one way or the other. Yeah.
How do you how do you build that open space? How do you build that open space to be able to, receive information, and also because it's for them to even come to you to share information with you, it means they trust you enough to be able to give them the best advice. Not every time you have to scrutinize them, right? Sometimes you just have to listen and just let them talk, right? So how do you create that environment?
It's about, you've already mentioned it. Talk less, listen more. And when they're talking to you, let everything off. A number of times staff come to us and we continue on our laptops. And you're like, no, you talk, I'm listening. You're not listening. They've taken the time to walk into your office. That laptop can wait. Literally, it can wait. Give them 100% attention. When you do that, next time they know that you'll be able. But then also be concerned about their needs, as in genuinely concerned. Listen to them. How is your family? If the other day they came and, no, my daughter is not well. The next day, are you able to check out? Oh, how is your daughter today? Are you okay? For me, the way I managed to even penetrate South Sudan on all my career path as HRI is, I go an extra mile and make sure a staff is unwell. I'm in hospital, they've delivered, I'm there. At their wedding, I'm there, literally participating.
Wow.
So that way they're building, they are like, oh, she's human, So, and then also when it is time for fun, we laugh, have fun. I remember when I just joined Uganda, there was a culture where HRR, you don't enter HRR's office. And I one time went for lunch at a cafeteria, people walked away from the table that I was seated. So I was like, wow. So at the end of the day, trust takes a while, but it is you to find ways of having them feel free and open to come to you. Yeah.
I, I'm just trying to understand the whole process where you have to go through to bring up these guys from different locations, right? Who don't really understand themselves, who are fighting rivalry with themselves personally, not for any reason, but just because you're not like me, or we're not from the same space, but to bring them all together. Well, was there ever a time you had to settle disputes within team members, even when they were supposed to deliver on a particular process, but after settling, they became best pals to deliver on the job for productivity?
Several times. I had teammates who would not want to see eye to eye. The HR person felt she's more superior. The procurement person felt she was more superior. And here I was overseeing two countries and overseeing HR and operations. And operation was procurement, administration, and all that. So these two had their personal fights that it would be brought in the workplace. So one day I did something very interesting. They all were complaining wherever they were complaining. And now they all gathered to come and report themselves. And I told them, sit. They sat. And I said, I heard you quarrel. Wherever you're quarreling, can you continue? Continue with the quarreling. Quarrel until you bring it all out. If you think my office space is too little for you, the compound is there. Go and fight.
That's giving them a free ring to fight.
Exactly. I said, go in the compound, beat yourselves up, Whoever loses is the one I'll beat. But remember, but remember, and when I said that, they all burst out laughing because they were not expecting.
That, yeah.
they were not. They were not expecting me to go that way. And so I asked them, "Why are you fighting? We are all passers-by in organizations. We are all here to do our work. In organizations, agree to disagree. You don't need to belittle anybody. And if you're disagreeing with somebody, disagree with facts, disagree with evidences. Don't disagree with hearsay." And now they got to learn that actually, when you are going to go to Emily's desk, be sure you have your facts right, and be sure it's not a gossip. Because if you, by the time we come to say, Matthew did this, I say, hold it there. Allow me call Matthew. Matthew, could you please come? So that way they got to realize that we have no option but to learn to work with each other and embrace one another. But also the other approach I've always used in my career path is empower my team. Give them the courage to make sure that they feel they are the subject matter experts. The procurement officer, I gave him the mandate to say, you are the best procurement ever. The HR officer, you're the best. Come to me when you're stuck. Make your decisions. If you fail, I'll be there to support you. I'll be there to own up the decisions that you will have made, because at the end of the day, the bar stays with me. And my approach has been hands off, eyes on. And that way my team grew to know that they are able to do what they expected to do. And they had my trust. And they knew that even if they erred, I held their back. Yeah.
That's a good one to do. That's a good one. Shout out to your team. I'm sure those of them who will be listening to this will be very happy to have you share this information with us. Thank you very much.
I believe so.
Yeah, thank you very much to our very active audience who are very, very engaging, equally engaging with this discussion. Dr. Collins, I'm seeing all that you're doing. Thank you very much for your inputs. Thank you very much, everybody who's tuned in. And like I said, we have less than 15 minutes or 20 minutes or so to be done. So, but we still believe that even 5 minutes or 10 minutes is never too much for someone to learn something. So still, remember to share this link across. Let's continue to learn valuable information together. And we have a community, right? We have a community, a Telegram community. So don't forget to, I think that link should be included in our bio. So don't forget to click on that link, the Telegram community link, to also be a part of it. Let's continue to extend this discussion. And if you have any question after this, please feel free to send it across to our guest, Emily, or you send it to me, and I'm sure we would make sure to get those responses to you. So, talking about team development, right? Or rather, talking about team development and capacity building, right? I know you've had times when employees walk up to you to ask different questions on, okay, I'm in the management space, or I'm in project manager, or I'm a HR personnel. How do I build myself, my skill sets to be able to match with organizations, right? So what are those quick fit solutions that you give to them to be able to follow up that process step by step that you think you can also share across to our audience?
The first question I always ask, what's your passion? I don't own it. You know what you want. So you may be in HR, and HR is diverse. Do you want to be a generalist, or do you want to be a specialist? Do you want to specialize in recruitment? Do you want to specialize in talent? Do you want to specialize in benefits? Where is your passion? So that way you're able to know which direction is this person going. And also asking them where is your passion enables them rethink. Because sometimes they come to ask you, I want to do this course simply because someone else did it or someone else has applied for it. But is it the good one for them? So that's the best thing to do. Ask them which areas they need to grow in, and then you're able to guide them accordingly. And then also, because they are your team members, you will know what their strengths are. And you're able to tell them, you know what, yes, you might want to specialize in staff benefits. However, I feel you're more good in maybe recruitment because you're good at relationships, but your analytical skills are a little limiting. So you may have the passion of specializing in benefits, but your interpersonal skills overweigh your analytical skills. That doesn't mean that it will not be built, but the best thing to do is support your team settle where they will flourish the most, where they will naturally flourish, not where they will just later on get bored and feel like, yeah, that's what I would say.
Do you ever have that time when they come back to maybe lay complaints that, oh, the process I started didn't work for me or something, or that they need to move to somewhere else and keep moving and want to keep moving to next process without solidifying a particular skill set?
Those moments come, but at the end of the day, when a person starts something, support them to finish. That's the best way. It may not be now the direction they want to go, but then they can't stop halfway, because every step of a journey of development is a lesson learned and a skill learned. So at the end of the day, there's this guy, is it Newton, who developed the bulb? You know, he failed almost how many times? And he succeeded once, but he learned the many times how a bulb may not work. So when a staff has started a certain journey, don't discourage them, unless if they totally drop out, but then support them to pursue whatever they had originally started, because sometimes they might just get discouraged along the way because of a number of circumstances. That's why you need to be close to them, to know them even down into their personal lives, because when they trust you, they'll open up and tell you, this is my challenge. For example, you'll get to realize maybe the guy, the wife got a job up country, so now he has been left with the children, so he cannot balance up the training as well as take care of the children at home. So as a manager, you need to dig all those and then be creative and create more time for them. I've had situations whereby my team tells me, I have this challenge I need to meet. And I tell them, finish what you must finish. The rest you can do offline while you're working from home. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay, so in your own space, right, being able to cut across different organizations, right, what do you think is most common or very important that brands today should be able to know, to be able to, to help them build a strong and to be able to retain their employees? Not, today compared to then, right? Then we had organizations who always give rules. Whatever they say is what you do, right? But today we have employees who also have their voice. Employees' voice is also heard. You don't just wake up and then just set up a rule and then, like you mentioned, you share with them. You also have to share with them, and if it's something that is applicable, because at the end of the day, if they don't give him their best to do the job, they don't give them their best to the organization, you will definitely not get input, and you might probably end up firing and start another onboarding process, which is very stressful, trust me. And I'm sure you're very familiar with this. So how do you get to pull up on that?
Right now, the job I hold, I oversee quite a number of countries in East
Okay.
Africa, and each of these countries are very unique. So we also need to appreciate the fact that people are unique, dynamics are unique, cultures are different. When you
Okay.
go to South Sudan, it's a different culture. You go to DRC, it's a different culture. You come to Rwanda, it's a different culture. So as a leader, and one of the things you need to know, the most expensive venture is recruitment. So if you recruit and you can't retain, trust you me, no one will choose you as an employee of choice. If they
Why do you
see
say
the
that?
rate of, pardon me?
Why do you say that?
Because if the staff cannot stay with you for a while, at least minimum 2 or 3 years, then there's a question mark about your organization. It means maybe the culture is not right, the benefits are not right. And let's remember that people tend not to leave organizations, people leave managers. So when you see that every now and then people are resigning, check on your managers. So And also right now, as we said at the beginning, that your mission should be very clear from the top to bottom. The last person on ground should understand your values, should understand your mission, and how that relates to their work. We are now with the generation Z, Gen Z. These guys have the power within their brains. They'll wake up one morning and say, I want to be a director. I want that chair of yours. They are outspoken. So what are you going to do? Are you going to say you're fired? No. Sit them down and say, okay, no problem. You want this chair? No problem. This is what it takes for you to get here. You need to develop A, B, C, D. Don't ever get offended over a staff that speaks the truth and tells you the truth. That is a good team person, because they don't want to hide it within. That one actually, that such character who tells you the truth will stay with you. But then when you don't give them the opportunity, they most time chicken out, and before you know it, people are going. And let me tell you, the more they go, the more they spread the wrong negative stories about you. Exactly. And no one will want to join your organization. So give people the leeway to speak out their minds. And some of the ideas may be very crazy, but let them speak. That way, you'll be helped. Yeah.
So how should organizations manage each of their growth process for sustainability process, for sustainability purpose, right? Bringing in all of these guys, building that sustainable team, teaching them what needs to be done. But how do you track it? How do you ensure that, oh, okay, they're actually implementing or learning through what was asked or what they requested to do? Because it's one thing to say I want to start this course, it's another thing to finish it, right? It's one thing for an organization to say, okay, I'm going to empower 10 team members. Is another thing for them to actually implement it and make sure, see to it that those team members are duly empowered and they know what they need to do and they know their role. How should organizations approach that?
Investment in capacity building is one thing. You may have all the money, but put in place the right systems in terms of knowledge sharing, that each time these people go, let them come back and share with the rest. That way, they'll be able to apply what they have learned. And then also now, let's leverage on technology. Let's subscribe to so many learning portals. We have LinkedIn Learning, we have the Harvard Mentor, we have Franklin Covey, all those guys, all those websites. If you can afford, instead of injecting money on 1 or 2 or 3 managers, invest and subscribe to those pages. That way, there are so many avenues, different topics that can support your entire workforce. So that way, you're even able to track. And how also to track it best? Put it as part of their performance appraisal. As a key performance indicator or an objective, make sure there's what we call the personal development plan. Everyone should put that this year, I want to develop myself in A, B, C, D. If, for example, they're also doing their personal courses and the organization is not paying for it, let them open up and declare that they're studying and support them. And the way you can support them is avail them days off for exams so that they can go and do those exams. And then also track them and say, okay, how far? When the time you are telling me you are gone this far, how far are we at? And when they win, be there to celebrate them. You can even announce to the whole team how Emily has finished masters in this, Matthew has finished this and that. It's very, yes, it's very, very important. But also the other thing is that recognizing people is part of the way that you can sustain them. Get innovative ways. You can think of what we call, while I was at AMREF, we innovated what we call Wall of Fame, where people voted their colleagues on a number of things. And that was part of capacity building. Someone gets to realize, oh, so I've improved in communications, I've improved in my personal relations. That's how I've ended up on the Wall of Fame. So at the end of the day, for me, Matthew, is believe in yourself, in your staff, get the best out of them. Remember, each one of them is unique. Don't put all of them in the same basket. Let them grow both from within and without. That is part of capacity building. Sometimes we don't want to invest in them because we think they will go. The best thing to do is invest in them so that they go. At the end of the day, they are still
They'll
going to
stay.
be successful, and it is your success.
Yeah,
So when I
that's
was in AMREF, I developed what I call as HR Delight, a growing and glowing staff. Growing in the sense that when staff come into the organization, they should grow in different aspects. They may not change positions, but let them grow in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their relationships, in terms of their networks. And glowing is in the sense that they should look forward to coming to work. And now with a light, I'm taking it to another notch. We are growing, we are flowing, and we are glowing.
Thank
So
you very much.
that's what we do.
When you shared this, I quickly went to my comment box, sorry, and I noticed that I had an audience, Nantel, who asked similar question. And I'm like, oh, good, we had some close related thoughts, right? Talking about how does organization measure the efforts of capacity building, right? So I don't know if it's something you'd like to still share a little bit of information into that for clarity's sake. Thank you.
How you measure, we've already said, if you've invested in technology, you're able to measure by numbers.
Okay.
How many people have done these courses? But as I said, don't leave them at only doing that course. Create avenues where they can share the knowledge. What are the lessons they have learned? You can even do, like when I was in Baylor, we had what they call continuous medical education every week. What that meant is that everyone needed to come up with a topic. Every week, everyone had something to talk about. So this week is Emily, next week is Matthew, the other week is Peter. So you would not escape. So you look out for something to come and share with the team. So create an environment where there's continuous learning, no matter what, even on your WhatsApp groups. Let it be an opportunity for learning. Like, for example, right now I'm in Rwanda, and I learned something from the Allied team here. You know, they have what they call the kindness table and also the kindness board. On the kindness table, you come and every morning you place something for everyone to share. So if you're hungry, you walk to the kindness table. Whatever you find, you pick and go and eat. I found that very interesting. And then the kindness board, you paste there something that has excited you. Did Matthew did something nice for you? Did he make a good comment about you? You Matthew, thank you for that comment. You blessed my heart today. And you see that everyone looks forward every morning to going to the kindness board to see what new message is there. So use every avenue to promote learning. You can either choose to use the kindness board, you can choose to say we are going to use our Teams chats, or you can use your WhatsApp group to say, okay, every morning, what is that one thing? And also the other thing is, when we error, please don't kill us, because there are personalities who go overboard. Because when
Yeah.
you don't post for them, they will fill the space. But you need to guide them that whatever we are posting should be for our good. It should really be well directed. Yeah.
Thank you for re-emphasizing on that. And thank you, Nantel, for that question. And I'm seeing a lot of support here in the comment section. Olufemi, thank you, saying very good approach for me. I get to know people's name and call them by their name. It's always it shows you see them as individuals, and thus becomes easier to build trust. Yes, in
Yeah.
this world of AI, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I feel it's something everybody should start adopting by calling people by their names. And I want to just drive you a little bit to when you responded to our email at an hour with a manager, I looked through your information and I saw a very interesting quote, and I'm very sure that quote sticks with you for as long as. So he said, a quote by John Wesley, he said, "Do the good you can by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, at all the times you can, as long as ever you can." Why did you? I think that's like a personal quote for you.
Yes. The where, the how, the why. At the end of the day, Do not deny anybody any opportunity when you have what it takes. And to me, that has been my guiding principle. As a leader, as a human being, give everyone their due opportunity. Be fair to all, treat people the same. If it is time for rebuke, rebuke with love. If it's time to have fun with them. Because at the end of the day, wherever you can, with whoever you can, as long as you can, is that we have limited life. But at the end of the day, whoever comes, when we meet people, it's never coincidence. It is destined that you're going to meet this person. But when they leave your presence, what do they live with? Do they remember that this person impacted me, even if for a second? Yeah, that's what guides me, to do whatever good I can, wherever I can, to whoever I can.
Thank you very much, Emily. Thank you very much, everybody who's contributed to this very wonderful discussion. And I feel like we should continue going, and we should continue going, because this discussion, personally, like I told you guys, today was going to be more of practical, not Google information. Trust me, you're not getting this information from Google. It's actually 21 years of experience and toil and challenges, you know. And I'm happy that Emily has also been able to freely share this information with us. So please, to everyone who's listening to this, if you have a friend, a colleague, or an employer who you might also want to share this information with, please send them the feed after this discussion today. And thank you very much, our guest, for freely giving us your input and also educating our audience today. I must say, for real, I really respect all you've been able to do so far. And most importantly, navigating your way through South Sudan, man, it's not an easy place. But for you to easily go there and then, you know, go through business, coordinate the team, build resilience there, and still constantly check up and, you know, keep everything going. That is something that I think a lot of people should also look out for, to, you know, to emulate. So thank you very much for the time you spent with us.
You're welcome. Very, very welcome. My parting shot is that opportunity strikes once. The person before you may never cross your path again. Be the best inspiration that you can be. Leave the best lasting footprint in their hearts, so that even if they will never meet you again, but at least they'll remember the word you spoke to them and the moment they spent with you. Thank you.
That's something to go back with. Thank you very much, Emily, for that. And thank you very much, everybody who successfully spent an hour and 7 minutes on this discussion. Trust me, I would want to keep the door open. But if you have any question, contributions, or comments, my inbox is ready. It's open. The comments box is open. We have a community on Telegram. Feel free to click on that button. We have our YouTube channel. Watch up on videos. Share the link across. It's going. The feed is going to be open. Share it across. Let everyone who's not able to engage on this also get the benefit of this discussion today. I'll be looking forward to having another discussion next week, next week Thursday. That is 1st of August already. So I would say bye-bye to July, to everybody for because I think we'll be seeing in August next week. So thank you very much to everybody, and I'll see you guys next week. So good night, good morning, or good evening from wherever you joined us from today. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.